back. I greatly appreciate you being in here. If you see this after, it's still just as valuable. You just won't be able to comment in real time. But I still think this is a very important discussion we're gonna have. And like I said, I appreciate everybody tuning. I'm just trying to switch the way that this looks a little bit because it's set up just slightly different from when I was on earlier. I didn't leave a lot for the imagination. I talked about the BlackRock thing in the title. We talked about how gold and silver is having a nice little run up here as XRP crypto is dropping here a little bit. So I would like to have an active discussion about some of this stuff if you guys wouldn't mind. I think it's interesting who Trump is trying to tout here. So it's going to be an interesting ride here. I think it's going to be an interesting ride, but neither that's here nor there. But if you don't know Rick Ryder, he's part of BlackRock. Not exactly who I would go with, but with the agenda of the central banks, it makes perfect sense. So I can't say I'm surprised. So welcome back, everybody. Good morning. What is it? Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to go into a couple different things here. We're going to go into XRP. We're going to go into the Trump's, who he's meeting with, and his personal choice for the new Fed chairman. He wants Rick Ryder, which he's part of BlackRock. We know gold and silver's having a unbelievable skyrocketing event right now. As we know, we're in the midst of it. It's been going on for several months, over a year now, but now it's starting to hit these bigger and bigger areas. Where exactly are we right now? TradingView for some reason did not load up initially. But here we go. So platinum's up 4.95%. Gold's up 3.09% or $141. Silver's up 4.94% or 4.9%, just about 94.40. So it'll be an interesting day for sure today. Can't really put too much stock into the miners as it's going to go up and down, left and right as the morning starts. So, but anyhow, let's focus more on the charts here now. Let's focus more on the charts. More on the conversation that we have in front of us with the community. So, Dan Marginal, Define, thank you all so much for coming back in here and being a part of this. I greatly appreciate that show of support. Who else do we have in here? We've got Mark Caston, welcome in. Michael, Bad Guy, good morning. Thank you all for being in Tom's Army. I appreciate it. And if you are in here, make sure to hit the like button. I know I put this out right after I did another live, so the odds of people coming in here getting posted, it's slim to none, but that's okay. Miss CJ Chupat said, Miss Dot, watch out for the weather this weekend. We are supposed to get ice over an inch of ice. I saw your weather post earlier. Wow, that's an extreme amount of ice. Yeah, we've gotten, well, as you can see behind, well, I guess you can't see behind me, but we've gotten a decent amount of snow right now. A decent amount of snow here over the not so distant past, so it's one of those things. Bearded Viking, glad to see you in here as always. You just stay safe out there and continue fighting the good fight with Mighty Marcus as we continue our prayers for him. Amen. For that guiding hand and guiding light. You're welcome, Bearded Viking. I appreciate you being in here as well. XRP John Hall, welcome in with Cannabis Podcast. Thank you all. I think every single person who commented are members of Tom's Army, which is interesting. That's actually really interesting. I only see members of Tom's Army in here, which is quite interesting. Unless that's just the people who are commenting. But be that as it may, we do have other things to talk about. I know XRP, when we last checked, it was like 192, 193 when we were together. Right now it's, 192.5 Bitcoin's under 91K and trending down pretty quickly, down 2.2% down $2,034 on the day. And I know the other markets opened up terrible, big bear flags possibly that are going to double these losses. If this continues, the Dow is down 617 points. We could be looking at a $1,200 to $1,500 down day in the stock market. No joke. So we got to pay attention to that. S&P's down 85 or 1.23%. Nasdaq's down 345 or 1.47%. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting what's going on here across the markets. It is pretty interesting to see. Do you think XRP can go to 300,000? No. There's not enough money in the world for it to go that high. You don't even need it to go to 300,000. Why XRP is not where it should be. Every institution is backing and supporting it. Hey man, I'm not the one who said that there was 100 billion tokens. I'm not the one who has over 57 billion in circulation, which means we need $57 billion to move at $1. And that is what it is. Gotta stay realistic, Fred. I can't change that, nor am I gonna try to change your mind. I think it was set as a members only live. I almost had that feeling, to be honest. But now I see a couple people that are commenting that are not in the army, so that's a good thing. For the ones who tell me to flex, well, I can't flex in the smaller one. Well, I could, but I don't know the last time I flexed without without having a long sleeve shirt on. So now you can see the real muscle growth. You know, it's been a. See, at least one time I can do it. Let's see. But above that, now nobody can say I didn't do it. We've got XRP's market cap. We lost $3.8 billion today in market cap. And it's down about 3% right now. About 3.7 billion or 3%. It's going down a slippery slope here if we continued. There's no doubt about it. And it's looking a little toppy right now. So the best alternative here, so if we're sitting at $1.91 or $1.92, our next area to look at is going to be right around that. We hit that $1.84 if we fall any farther. But we very well could find ourselves falling all the way down to that $1.58 area. We could extend down to $1.69. So Bearded Viking said, I wanted my first ever super chat to go to the best creator who stays real when everyone else follows the masses. God bless you and your family. Oh, thank you so much, Bearded Viking. That means a lot to me. A $5 super chat as well. That is incredibly generous. That is incredibly generous. I can't thank you enough for that. Honestly, I can't. Ooh, it looks like I lost my ability in here to send, like, if I wanted to send rubies or something, which that's interesting. I don't know how many other people that's happened to. But thank you so much for that, Bearded Viking. That means a lot to me. And also in times on 3+ months with the XRP meteor. They're kind words. Kind words. Very kind words. If we're looking at the mining stocks, B2 Gold's up 4.8% to $4.80. That's a good sign. First Majestic up 3.16 to $22.20. 222. The Angels are certainly watching over us today. Fortuna Silver Mines up 3.36% to $10.77. And Dolly Varden up 5.96% or 30 cents a share to $5.33 this morning. So that's a pretty decent start. PLG down about 1/4%, but it looks like it's getting ready for a big breakout. So it would be a nice shuffle here to start the day. As Platinum is up 5.5% now. So I would definitely look at PLG to have like a 5 to 10% move here if this continues. Like this would be the low of the day probably at 267. No joke. So there's definitely opportunity developing. For crypto, we're void of volume. So it continues to hamper us. It is what it is. We can't really change that. It doesn't mean we can't flip this into a hammer candle still in the weekly. A lot of time to go. But we definitely can't afford to lose this $1.90, $1.89 area. Otherwise, we're going to drop to $1.84 and possibly worse here to come down. We do have what looks like the making of a descending triangle down at about $1.58ish. So, you know, that's definitely something that we have to consider, you know, across the board long term. Yeah, I know the gift box isn't available. Isn't that funny? It's like they don't want my community to be able to support me. It's not cool. Not cool. But it happens all the time. But, you know, you can only do what you can do. On my actual XRP Future Millionaire one, it's actually showing on my own live, which is kind of dumb, but it is. I'm not sure what that's all about. But hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Let's see. Moving on, though. Moving on. What does everybody want to talk about? Do you guys want to talk about what's going on with Trump's pick for who he wants? Being like the last person you would want it to be, if I'm being honest, but an old BlackRock fella. So I meent we can go over that because that could hamper crypto. To be honest, hey, what is this? I just sent 100 for 2 joules combined X2 100 for 2 joules and combined. Sent 100 for 2 joules. That's a weird way to describe it, but I really appreciate that a lot. I greatly appreciate that. What is going on? No, it's not. It's not who you said. It's not Larry Fink. It's Rick Reeder. Rick Reeder. He's the CFO of BlackRock. I mean, this chief investment officer, the CIO, whatever the fuck they call him these days. Global fixed income at BlackRock, but this is a true story. Trump actually, this is his, as of now. He interviewed Rick Reeder. This is his chosen choice. This is who he really wants, which I think is not so good of a thing, honestly. Hey, thank you so much. I seen floating hearts on here. That is awesome. Thank you for the floating heart. Just send it. Greatly appreciate that. A total of, what does that say? 8, or what is that? For 10 joules. Nice. Thank you so much for that. I can't say top 3. I have a strategy. It's called the XXX HA strategy. XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Algo. And I think it's going to add an A to it if we go down far enough, because I'm going to add ADA to it, 10,000 tokens when we get down cheap enough if we end up going there. So the XXX HA strategy can add an A. I've talked about this before. So here's just an article talking about this. I wanted to pull one that makes sense. So BlackRock's Rick Reeder, what the fuck? Look at all these stupid ads. BlackRock's Rick Reeder bid for Fed chair is gaining traction. Trump interview with Reeder is said to have gone well. So Rick Reeder is BlackRock's chief investment officer of global fixed income. The candidacy of BlackRock's Rick Reeder to be the next Federal Reserve chair has gained late momentum. People familiar with the matter say as President Donald Trump weighs congressional blowback in his bid to put a friendlier face at the head of the central bank. And think about it. BlackRock, head of the central bank. I mean, this would be just great. Trump's interview on January 15th with Reeder went well. The people said speaking on condition of an enemy to discuss the private deliberations. Key senators such as Republican Banking Committee member Tom Tillis have warned that Trump's Fed picks will get more scrutiny after the Justice Department subpoenaed the Fed last week over statements by Jerome Powell related to renovation project at the bank's headquarters. Like, that's all nonsense. But yeah, so that's just something that I don't want somebody from BlackRock being in charge of the Fed and making decisions, but it's gonna further help us. If you think about it, they want to make the transition into the digital side as cheap as possible. So much like they used to drive the price of silver down, wouldn't they, if given the positioning, drive the price of crypto down to make this happen? I mean, it seems to be the standard operating procedure. It's unbelievable. What we thinking for XRP this year? I don't know about exactly in the year, but I do know that in time it'll play out in a really positive direction. But this ain't the time for risk assets. I keep saying it. And the more I say it, the less people, decide to watch. I mean, I still gain subscribers, but most people subscribe to my channel for when we get back into a significant drop, or we get into a big bull push, and then they're like, well, I can trust this guy, at least I know his charts, kind of thing. Now, that is a good question, Mr. Stott. That is the understanding that I have, that Larry Fink is filling in for the World Economic Forum. So now if you've got Larry Fink at the head of the WEF, and the other side of this taken care of by the BlackRock CIO at that, just think about what that means. It just, to me, this doesn't seem like it would end well for us. So if we have Larry Fink at the head of the WEF and Rick Reeder at the head of the Fed, that means the central banks have taken complete control of every facet. So these are reasons why I wanted to talk a little bit further. And yeah, it's a great time to learn the charts. If you guys need to know more and you want to go deeper into this, join my live class that starts February 2nd. I believe we have 17 signups. Go on YouTube in the membership section and check it out. It's going to be so much more than technicals. You're going to learn all of this. And not just crypto. All of it. Everything you see me do and you want to know how to do it from a mindset standpoint, from the psychology of a trade, all of it. But right now, I'm interested to see, though, can crypto find some kind of a push here, some kind of a blowback? Because a lot of money is, after an initial dump out in the miners this morning when it opened, money's starting to find its way into the miners. Like, Dolly Varden's up 7% now. Fortuna is up over 4%. First Majestic's is about 3.77%. And silver just keeps, it's up 5.4% now after a small correction this morning, which was good timing on the open. We'll see what it does now. It went down to 94. Now it's trying to push back up. We'll see if there's any steam here. And if this gets pushing again, well, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens here right now. But this is definitely going to be one of those volatile days. I definitely think Platinum Group, PLG, is setting up something massive right now, as it went for liquidity, as Platinum's up 5.58%. Could be one last big blowback on a back test here. I don't know. But I would definitely be looking at that one right now, as the price of Platinum seems to be moving out. We're on the top side of a very big pattern consolidation. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders on the attempted breakout. So we had a nice symmetrical triangle here. I believe that it was trying to break. I mean, there's a lot of factors there to pay attention to. I would almost say that depending on what happens today, if that actually ends up correcting farther, or even where it's correcting, I think is an opportunity to watch. I don't know if it's going to go up or not. I don't know what's going to happen, because we could get you can get big reversals here too. I don't know. It's kind of hard to see what's about to happen. But there's definitely going to be a lot of shuffling here in the miners. A lot of people are going to be buying and selling. Some people are going to be selling out, especially. I think you're going to get a lot of sell orders, so you're going to have to combine it in the early part of the day. So I would probably, it's up to what you think is a good opportunity or not. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Skill says, I just finished watching your other live and you're live again. Yeah, I wanted to do a more, a hands-on like this. Bretton Woods 2.0 Project Rothschild One World Order. I know that's what it's starting to really line up to, isn't it? Even if we don't want to, it's really lining up to that. Everything is speculation. That's a waste of time, Fantasyland. I mean, if that's Fantasyland to you, I don't know. I guess in a way, I guess that's not untrue. XRP was never anti-bank, correct? I want to hit 50 cents so I can buy a truckload of XRP. Tango, if we get there, we will definitely look at the setup very deeply, and we will see where the appropriate buying spot is. But right now, there's a lot going on here, and this is a big drop that could be setting up here. The other markets are starting to confirm it a little bit. I mean, I don't know how true this is going to play out, but at least at the start of the day, this definitely is fostering the appearance of not good. Bitcoin broke 100K or 90K now to 89,977. XRP's on the verge of breaking $1.91, and this is where it can go really quick if Bitcoin keeps going down. Ethereum right now has broke under 3,000, down better than 6% or 190 bucks on the day. It's right at about 3,000. It's trying to figure out if it's going to hold it, just like Bitcoin's trying to figure out if it's going to be below 89. So we'll see. We'll see what the markets decide here. It's not helping us that the Dow's down 725 points and possibly put in a big bear flag on the day. S&P down better than 1.5% and looks like a bear flag on the day. NASDAQ down 1 3/4%. Looks like a bear flag. And that means we could double these losses. If that's the case, you would have to start expecting the Dow to be down almost 1,400 points, the S&P down almost 210, NASDAQ down about 850, and you'd be talking about 3 to 4% across the board. That's a huge drop in one day if that actually happens. That's not going to bode well for risk assets. I'm telling you right now. It's not by accident that gold is up right now, $148 again now. Oh my God. And silver's up almost back over right around 95. Like, it's not by accident that all this keeps happening. I'll be interested to see where we're at by 2, 3 o'clock today. If I'm being honest, I'll be interested to see where we end up at 2 or 3 o'clock today, and see if this continues. If this continues in gold and silver, I mean, I don't know. Bitcoin right now is just testing that 90K area, just like Ethereum 3K. XRP is basically testing the $1.90 area. It didn't fall through yet, but we're trying to see if we have any support in this area. If we were to not be able to produce any kind of reasonable volume here, this is where you can drop off 10, 15% very quickly. On some of the smaller tokens. For XRP, maybe 6 to 8%. Hey, Defined, you can message again. I love it. I love it. Suzuki says Bitcoin 83K and Ethereum 2400 coming to a living room near you. I don't disagree with that, Suzuki, and welcome back, friend. I'm glad to see you in here. Yeah, platinum is right at, where is it at right now? 2,467, up 6.2%. It's actually broken above that symmetrical triangle. Now it needs old 2,446. So I think it's an anomaly right now that PLG's down 2%. I think we're getting a hard retest right now of this pattern breakout. And we talked about it in the live. Technically, it could come down to this area around $2.60 and still be and still kind of mess with them. So I don't know. I like to see how everything reacts after the day continues to go. I don't necessarily like to base it on the early morning. So for a couple hours, we're just gonna have to see how we react into the noontime. We're only 10:10. Normally, by the time we get to noon and beyond, you can start to get a real trajectory. PLG is just, I buy it on the JP Morgan trading app, but you can buy it on any stock exchange. Like, you can buy it on Charles Schwab. I'm sure you could even buy it on Robinhood if people have it. But it's everywhere. It's one of the bigger platinum stocks you can buy that helps get the platinum. Suzuki says, I've been quietly watching your channel since since first got on. When the kids aren't around, I can chat for a bit in the comments. I appreciate that, my friend. I really appreciate that. Bitcoin to 50K, then crypto is dead. No. That wouldn't mean it's dead. Technically, in that 50K area, it has some semblance there. So if I go into my chart, so I can give you the exact number, it's 54, maybe 53. Something like that. Let me go into my exact chart so I can see. It's not dead if that happens, I promise you. Like, we're not even convinced Bitcoin and crypto is just about to fall out completely yet today. It's giving us at least fostering that illusion that. So basically, if Bitcoin loses right around 88,800, it invalidates the symmetrical triangle breakout. Because technically, the way this is set up, this should be a bearish consolidation. So that could have been a big fake out. If we lose 88,800 on Bitcoin, that's crazy. What's going on with PLG? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Looks to me like it's a big shakeout. But, I don't know. It looks like a perfect setup. But, not everything always plays out. Just because some miners do, some don't. But yeah, like Define said, it's something that I've spoken on a lot. I believe in every cycle that Bitcoin has back tested its old all-time high. So, if you base it on that kind of even a philosophy, you could find yourself, like for Bitcoin, the biggest problem we have, it's actually around in real time. Let me put this in real time. I would say about 57,366 area, maybe a little higher, maybe 58. Let's call it 57.7. That would be the back test of the cup and handle that broke out that we never back tested. So that is definitely an area that I pull a lot of stock in. And then with the war, that's another thing. There's a reason why the metal's propped up here and, risk assets. When there's the allure of war and things like that, a lot of people pull their money out of risk. It is what it is. And I've always said this, if gold and silver is moving up that fast, like again, you didn't have to trade crypto and you could have just bought silver on Friday. And now all of a sudden on Tuesday, it's up 5% today. It was up a little bit more yesterday. You've got gold up 3.2% on the day. Like you're making gains. Platinum's up well over 5% or $130 plus. So you've got opportunities here. And then you're like, well, I'm going to try to risk asset. Now all of a sudden, Dolly Varden, the silver producer that Tom's talking about, it's up 7.3%. Or B2 Gold that Tom talked about a lot last week, especially, is up 5.3% again. I talked about certain ones for certain reasons because they were at certain sections. I still have conviction oil is still going lower. Should we discuss oil a bit? Absolutely. Oil, you're getting some kind of thing going on here this morning. I know Murphy's right now is down 7.3%, as oil's up 1.7%. Now with the propagation of war, we have to be careful to find, because that's where we should have got a red flag that maybe we can reverse here at the $54, especially now with the propagation. When there's war, oil is usually a hot commodity, which means technically, as much as I want it to go down, it might not because of that. And we are in a descending wedge right now. So unless we're going to come down to $48, it's honestly, we might have to refocus with the propagation of war. Propagating war definitely changes this a little bit. But as far as the actual exploration companies, yeah, I'm not convinced. The one thing I will say, though, is that like some of these were on very long ascending triangle formations. And they were on a big ascension, and this could just be a consolidation that's super bullish. And that 7% drop right now is back testing the actual breakout after the pushback over. So I don't know. I tend to agree that I would normally think there would be some kind of event coming down, but I'm not sure how much we could actually raise oil, only for the fact that it's a big part of the U.S. trying to say how cheap everything is in the U.S. now. So they're holding their hat on the barrel of oil. You know, now that gas is shooting up a little bit again, it's harder to be like, oh, look how far we've come. But I just want to see, the biggest thing I want to see today is how we continue to react as the day goes on. You know, are we going to continue to push in the metals? Or are we going to get some kind of flipping, like a little flippage here? I don't see a big future for Bitcoin unless the team starts marketing better, release real gold tech coins that double as hard wallets. This is what you call vision. Yeah, but that's never going to happen, unfortunately. Because Bitcoin's become the world's largest Ponzi scheme. Just by virtue now, because look how much collateral goes into it, but it's on borrowed money. It's almost like they're trying to collapse all the credit systems. Don't you find it ironic that Trump wants to cap credit at 10% interest? Who do you think benefits from that the most? Because what that does is now they close everybody's credit cards, which is probably a good thing, because they're going to say you don't have enough capital and you're too big of a risk and there's not enough money to be made. The reason that they have 25% interest rate on credit cards, or 35 or 40, depending on how bad your credit is because a lot of people don't pay it. A lot of people don't pay it, so they have to have some kind of, there's leverage. So the reason they're willing to give it to somebody else is because they know that based on the fees, they're going to recover their losses. It's no different in a store. A lot of the fees that you see is not because the shipping costs have gone up. It's because your fellow citizen wants to steal everything off the damn shelf, and now the insurance policy is going up. That's more of a truth than people want to believe. That's why they're like, oh yeah, go ahead. We're not going to stop you from stealing. Why would they? Now they don't even have to sell the damn item. Now all they got to do is loss prevention. You know, just write the item up. I used to work in the grocery stores. They were very happy when people would steal a whole bunch of stuff, because then they're getting credit for it and they get paid through the insurance. They don't even have to sell the item. It's actually a big con, probably. It's no different in crypto right now, but a lot of money, guys, is going into these ETFs and stuff. We thought it could be a big down day today in the markets, in the stock market, but 416 in the NASDAQ already is kind of a lot. The Dow almost at 700 is a lot for how quick it happened. I mean, we're only at 1020. Let's see. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of drone wars, that's for sure. No, I don't think either define that it's going to be a war for oil. I think it's much darker now. It's much darker. I don't know, man. There's something weird going on. UB2B sub, our meme genius in the house. Love seeing you in here. And Tom's on for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix badge. Says, what do you think of XRP ETF? Well, the XRPC, which is the Canary Capital one, is down, I think, 8% today. I don't think much of them right now, because we haven't got a clear picture of where they're supposed to be set. They're too new. So I like to watch them set a pattern. XRPT. Oh, you're talking about a different one then. There's the reason I don't like the ETFs is because they steal money from the crypto market. I've said it time and time again, but it's true. They steal money from the crypto market, and it's unfortunate. But think about it. A lot of people don't have to trade crypto anymore. I'm going to ask you guys an honest question. Do you think it's by design that they're going to switch to a 24/7 trading in the stock market right at the same time that all these ETFs came online? I mean, do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think it's a way for institutions to trade the 24/7 volatility still? Setup and manipulation, 9:30 to 11 expansion room. Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree with that. From 7 to 9:30 is setup and manipulation. 9:30 to 11 a.m. expansion / room move. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to figure out right now. And unfortunately, in the last, what has it been, hour and a half, after we had a little bit of upward volatility, the morning starts when the USA starts waking up. Because when we were going through the night, XRP, believe it or not, at around midnight was around $1.98. You know, even at 3 a.m. we were still at $1.97. So once the USA started waking up, again, it's like they gave us a little bit of hope up to 202 yesterday, which it looked very bearish because there was no volume. The volume on this drop has actually picked up. On the pushes up on the futures chart, we had, and it doesn't show a lot because of how it counts it. So let's go into another chart. So on the push up, on the XRP chart, we had, on this particular one, 337,000. On the hold candle, 246. Now on the push up, we had 426,000, 287,000. Now on the way down, we started with 314, then we got 403, then we got 1.14 million on the big drop candle. Now we're consolidating a little bit, and it didn't really do much on this candle, and then it pulled back down with 514, 449. The current one, there's still 2.5 hours, but it's already up to 261, which means that could be a 5 to 700,000 in volume on that candle to the down. So that's your new year delivery window. Yep, that's your new year. I agree. I like that. I like that a lot. We are at the fourth turning of a long cycle. Cannabis podcast, a very long cycle, and thanks for being in the army, my brother. It does have a lot of room to rebound. Okay, so I need to look at XRPT closer, and then I can give you an honest opinion in an upcoming live. Because I've been focused on a different ETF with Canary Capital, just because I've watched it from the onset. So I'm trying to build my own like rhythm with some of these. And I'm fascinated. These are one of the days you just kind of turn off the metals. You turn off, well, you don't turn it off, but you kind of let it play out how it's supposed to. And then when we get into later in the day, you kind of start to take a closer look at some things and see how it actually panned out. Canary proved being first pays. I mean, in a sense for sure. Good morning, John Bugathorpe. Welcome in. It's nice seeing a larger mugshot of you in these verticals. I know. It's different. Some people tell me I have to make sure to flex when I'm in these settings, so I'll flex for you to find one time. You can see without my shirt on for once, without the coverage. A lot of work. That's like 3.5 years. Let's see. Rich, good morning. What else? What else do we have to talk about here? Ugh. My back's getting a little sore. Broke my back when I was 23 and starting to get sore. So, any other questions? I think it's been nice. We've been on here for about another 40 minutes after the hour live. This is great. Mosey here, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon Badge. I appreciate that. Happy Fox says, yes, great work, Tom. Good job staying healthy. I appreciate that. XDC, when we talk about it, let's see where it's at this morning. It was at about 413, I believe, the last time I seen. Let's see. XDC is at, almost below 4.1 now, so it did come down a little bit. Well, I'm not surprised. It's got a little bear flag formed here, unfortunately. And if that plays out, we're coming down to about the 3.8 level. That's or 3.79, which is that support structure we're building towards. If we lose 3.79, that's where it can slide all the way down to 2.2. So again, I don't think XDC is the exception to the rule, so I just expect more down when it comes to risk. I do. And what I expect is probably more upward volatility. We still haven't hit the targets on gold and silver on the breakout. And the mining stocks, they're consolidating a little bit, but they seem to be getting ready for the next layer. So it's a game of patience. Certainly a game of patience. So it's an interesting proposition area we're in right now, but yeah, so if we lose this area we're in, honestly, we're looking very clean at that, 3.7 area, and then if that breaks, you're talking about 2.2. I have a theory: stock market equals betting on Trump's successful takeover of Davos, and world powers at B. Commodities equals Trump's possible failure. Crypto equals stuck in the middle. Crypto by design. Crypto by design. Because if we're having a mass movement of quantitative easing into crypto, we talked about it back in March of 24 or 23 when this happened the first time, after the bull market before it took a couple years. They needed to drive the price down another 30 to 50% across the board, and then they were able to, in those next 3 months, prop up the price because they invested much cheaper and they were able to realize that potential, which is probably how they pay some of the national debt, if we want to be honest. Well, now we've kind of got the same kind of thing starting again. They announced it in December. You go January, February, March, and then by April, we could find ourselves in the same scenario as we push into the midterm elections. And they're going to prop the markets up by then, regardless of how far they go down. So this could just be that. Yeah, XRPN is another one we talked about. That's ever north. There's XRPN, XRPNU, XRPNC, and XRPNW that we look at. Yep, XRP N is that's where eventually I believe we're going to get a bond yield. Eventually, our treasury percentage, a yield or get paid to hold it eventually. We're supposed to hear more about that in, I think, Q2 or 3 of this year. Yeah, I mean, we do pay the national debt with that. That's true. With fear. Let's see if there's any other headlines I'm missing this morning. One last time. Gold silver ratio is at 50.488, so up 2%. Not really seeing outside of just the typical what we'd expect. Dollars down 0.5% at 98.52. LAES is down 3.8% to 439. The dollar's trying to recover a little bit here, down 475 or 1%. I guess the biggest story of the day would be Murphy's is down 7.6% today. Oil Corporation, despite WTI being up, which is oil, up 1.77%. That's West Texas Intermediaries. We've got, let's see, the NASDAQ is still getting crushed, down 412 points right now. Wow. We've got XRPC, which is Canary Capital's XRP ETF, down 7.59% to $20.46, down $1.68. XRPN is flat, up about 1 cent at 10.24, $10.24. We got XRPNU down 0.1% or 1 cent to $10.69, and XRPNW is up 1.7% at 89.5 cents. And remember, that was all the way up to $1.19. So it's either putting in a head and shoulders, or right now it could be putting in an uptrend, but we won't know yet. We have to see if this holds, because we see a downtrending resistance. But if this is forming an uptrending support, it could be a symmetrical triangle with a nice continuation. So we'll continue to watch that, and we'll see how that progresses. That pretty much runs through all the markets. I can't think of something else that I missed. I think we've gone through all the markets. XRP still struggling to hold $1.92 as it's slightly under. Yeah, the talk with the votes is definitely gonna be interesting on Wednesday. We'll talk about that when it comes. But I'm gonna go. I thank all of you. I need to rest my voice and I gotta stand up. Sorry, my sister texted me. So let's see. Evernorth's supposed to have an IPO this year. That will be interesting. That will be interesting. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a live tonight. We'll see how it goes. I plan on it. I really do plan on having a live tonight. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. And it's been an excellent discussion. It's been an excellent discussion. Reversal starting. It could. It very well could be. I'm going to start a crypto channel and just repost all your lives. Fair enough. Everybody can reshare my stuff. Everybody can. You know, every single person, you're allowed to share my stuff, and I would appreciate it. Should be interesting here today. I wouldn't be surprised if the gold and silver corrected if some of the miners eat up some of this too, so. But, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody.